We really are at the finish line, y'all. Um, we have we've gone through the whole book besides this last chapter, chapter 10. And so, yeah, we're going to be talking about economic solidarity in the cooperative movement and the African American cooperative movement, some of the connections, cohesiveness, and leadership development that has been exemplified in what we're doing. And Dr. Nemhard is also going to be sharing more about her background, or I should say her analysis of what we should do moving forward and how we can use cooperatives as a solidarity, um, as a piece of solidarity that can keep us all abundant. And yeah, I mean, we're at a choice now where, I mean, we can either do more of capitalism or we can choose something else. And I think we all feel like this current structure isn't working well for us. So glad you all are coming here to learn about The Black Print, Collective Courage by Dr. Jessica Gordon Nemhart. Tut will be joining us in a moment. He's got to do some business. So I guess I'll open this up with, I guess, inviting us all to find that piece of gratitude that keeps us alive and passionate about the work that we're doing. I invite us to, yeah, find those moments in the day that we would normally pass over, even though they're like abundantly like amazing and beautiful. Um, yeah, yeah. So chapter 10, economic solidarity in the African American cooperative movement, connections, cohesiveness, and leadership development. Starts off with the quote by Williams in 1993. The economic basis of African life was originally cooperative. Cooperation was one of nature's most important schemes for survival. And then the next quote by Matney in 1930. In the opinion of the writer, based on several years of study of cooperation, having sat in two of the National Cooperative Congresses, that cooperation offers great promise of being the solution for the economic riddle confronting the Negro, just as it has been a way out for other oppressed groups for over 3/4 of a century. In 2011, Lee is saying, the past 3 years shows us why it is important to consider a different approach to ownership, cooperatives. If more assets and businesses were owned and controlled by the people who use them, our economy could be more stable. And so Dr. Nimhard starts off chapter 10 by saying that almost all African American leaders and major thinkers, from the most conservative to the most radical, have at some point promoted cooperative development as a strategy for African American well-being and liberation. We have seen examples of how cooperative economic development provides economic stability, camaraderie, resource and profit sharing, education and training, high quality goods and services, and community development. W.E.B. Du Bois expresses the sentiment of many when he said that by using cooperative economic development, Blacks could change the paradigm, create African American leadership of a new industrial structure, and enter the new city as men and women, not chattel. These sentiments point to the need for African Americans to create their own economic reality, to think outside the box economically, and to use cooperative economics as a way to develop industrial leaders among the race. In many ways, the documentation provided in this book is a history of just that. This chapter focuses on the ways in which the African American cooperative movement was built around an ideology of economic solidarity. The first section explores the notion of solidarity as it relates to cooperative economics, and especially to camaraderie, networking and clustering, collective financing, and worker sovereignty among subaltern groups, as shown in the first 9 chapters of this book. In addition, this chapter reviews examples of youth involvement in cooperatives, past and present, particularly as youth development and engagement in cooperative business ownership points us, toward the future. A brief section discussing the importance of leadership development in cooperatives and ways in which leadership spills over into civic engagement more broadly follows. This chapter ends with some reflections on the significance of African American cooperative development, particularly for Black communities. And so here on page 214, I'm going to jump into this subsection of solidarity. After reading a bit about how for these past 9 chapters, in addition to the timeline, we've been seeing numerous examples of solidarity and camaraderie. And so Dr. Nimhart starts off by saying that we learn that cooperation is a delicate and necessary expansion of in-group solidarity and cohesion. Solidarity regulates cooperation on the basis of shared customs, values, and norms. Or else, it works through a process where actors identify themselves with the social group and create a collective identity. We define solidarity as a relational pattern, a form of collective behavior, and a networking activity based on trust. SHIP recognizes solidarity as important to the success of the Mondragon Cooperative Corporation, for example, where solidarity was achieved through cultural cohesiveness. The importance of culture as a binding agent explains how disadvantaged groups come together to achieve a common purpose, for example, to fight against oppression. The cooperative movement among African Americans has also been strongly influenced by feelings of racial and community solidarity. African Americans have come together to solve their economic problems using their racial and economic identity, racial affiliations, and commonality of need. The ex-slave pension movement used a sense of solidarity and the experience of common exploitation to come together and form a mutual aid society and launch a political advocacy movement for reparations. That was back in the early 1800s. The members of the APR Masonry Arts Corporation came together to address marginalization in their community and economic discrimination. Black farmers needed to collectively combat land loss, discrimination in credit markets, and limited access to and fairness in product markets. Many new urban cooperatives include in their mission improving the quality of life and community empowerment. Jobs are anchored in the community and local products are supported. Good, healthy, local food and green energy are provided. Many cooperatives also tend to use local suppliers and to share resources with other cooperatives and with community organizations and residents. The pooling of resources is empowering because it reduces dependence on outsiders, on businesses hostile or indifferent to the group or the cooperative structure. It also increases self-reliance and locally controlled income generation. Many cooperatives take their commitment to the community seriously and put aside funds for community development and community charities, in addition to depending on community support. Large corporations, franchises, branch offices, in contrast, tend to send dollars out of a community without circling much within the community first, and they rarely have a local focus that would bring either tangible or intangible benefits to the community. Cooperatives allow members to help one another to reduce the cost of living and buying one another's products, for example. Perhaps the most successful economic outcome is that cooperatives provide African Americans with affordable, high-quality products, especially healthy food, and often environmentally friendly products and practices. They promote local products and services that neither the government nor the private sector provides, at least not adequately or affordably. This is particularly true in the areas of healthy food, organic food, alternative and green energy, childcare, healthcare, home healthcare, utilities, and banking. Local agriculture and buying clubs, for example, help lessen food security and are viewed as community building activities. The Federation of Southern Cooperatives Land Assistance Fund also addresses food insecurity and local control over healthy food systems. Yeah, this is Collective Courage. We're on page 215. We're in week 12, the last week of this book club. Usually co-hosting with Ted, but he had some commitments. So I'm bringing us through an intro to solidarity at the moment. Feel free to ask questions or put in comments. We're going to be reading up until page 217. So African American cooperatives formed in the 1930s and 40s provided African American cooperatives that were formed in the 1930s and 40s provided affordable food, gasoline, and banking services. We saw this in the Consumer Cooperative Trading Company of Gary, Indiana, the Red Circle Cooperative of Richmond, Virginia, Harlem's Own Cooperative, and the Modern Cooperative in New York City, and the Walker Credit Union in Montreal, which was started by the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. More recently, the Chester Community Grocery Cooperative in Chester, Pennsylvania, was established in 2006, after Chester went without a supermarket for 16 years due to the city's industrialization. Mandela Foods in Oakland similarly arose in response to a lack of supermarkets and fresh vegetables in the community. A chapter of the Nation of Islam started a food cooperative in Houston, Texas in 2012, attempting to provide healthy, high-quality food choices to a neighborhood suffering from the lack of that. And it was led by student minister Robert Muhammad, who worked with Mosque 45 to research and design the co-op. The co-op movement among Black trade unionists was led by Knights of Labor and the Colored National Farmers Alliance early on in the 1800s, and the Cooperative Union in the 19th century. The Ladies' Auxiliary to the Sleeping Car Porters in the 19th century also kept dollars in the hands of workers and helped them control what they made and what they consumed, strengthening Black workers' positions and their families' rights and well-being. The last thing we'll be going through today is worker sovereignty to wrap us up into page 217. Worker sovereignty is also a form of economic solidarity. Worker sovereignty refers to privileging labor over capital, or balancing returns to labor and returns to capital. Many of the cooperatives studied in this book, especially the worker cooperatives, strove to create good, even great jobs with good working conditions and benefits, decent pay, flexibility, dignity, and profit sharing. Returns to capital are important, but solvency, employee benefits, and high-quality products are more important. While the focus of cooperatives in all communities is often on consumers, concern for workers and increasing the quality of both the work and the product have also been issues, especially for Black cooperators, and have been increasingly important. Chapter 1 of this book looked at the efforts by the Knights of Labor and other early Black trade unions, and Chapter 4 explored the efforts at cooperative education and development by the International Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. Hey, what's good, man?
Hey, what's up with it, brother? Sorry for being a little late.
It's all good, man. I'm glad business is moving for you.
Oh yeah, man, it's a cooperative environment, man. The family's showing up to support consistently. So yes, get out there, make yourself vulnerable, family, because we loving each other and supporting each other right now. So get out there. I see you getting into it, brother. I don't want to interrupt.
All right, I'm just reading through today's reading. So we're at the bottom of page 216.
I see it. Worker sovereignty.
Yes, so in the late 20th century, the Cooperative Home Care Associates unionized in order to focus on engaging members and improving workplace conditions and to offer healthy insurance for their worker owners. The APR Masonry Arts Corporation was unionized, worker-owned African American masonry construction company, organized in the late 1990s. They were in Los Angeles for the underemployed who had felt discriminated against. The union was not successful in addressing their needs. Both the union and the management agreed that helping the African American bricklayers form their own company, particularly as a cooperative, would be the best solution. After 7 years of organizing and fundraising with the help of the A. Philip Randolph Education Fund in DC and the Ownership Associates in Boston, the cooperative was launched in 1998. And it worked mostly on the jobs in Black communities and made sure that all members had work. However, cash flow difficulties led it to close down in 2005.
Mm. This
Another,
one is this
oh,
one is interesting, bro. You mind if I touch on it a little bit?
please.
So now we're getting to the Lusty Ladies Theater, which is a
Mhm.
peep show worker cooperative that started. It was birthed in San Francisco and was bought by the theater's workers, bouncers, and janitors after winning union representation when the owner decided to sell rather than own a unionship. The worker co-op rotates management positions between the member owners, gives all dancers access to more lucrative windows, hires women of all races and body types, and provides women of color with the same conditions and opportunities as every other dancer. This is unprecedented in that industry. And I did a little research. They shut down in the late 2000s,
Mm.
but they were offering a wage. So most dancers nowadays they get paid off of the show, how many dances they do. It's no set by hours. You can work 12-hour shifts and still make less than somebody would make doing minimum wage work. But the Lusty Ladies Theater being a cooperative, they voted to have an hourly wage, and they said even in 2001, they had their workers making $26 an hour. That's in
Yeah,
2001, family, and that's
that's
all
great.
because that's what they voted and supported on. So that was dope, man. A worker cooperative dance like gentlemen's club in San Francisco,
Mm.
and that was dope.
You want to finish this up, bro?
Yep. So continuing, in one case that I found in my research, um, it was tension between the cooperative and the union for Harlem River Cooperative, a consumer co-op whose workers were members of a traditional union. The union did not understand the co-op model, and the co-op manager could not figure out how to combine the consumer's co-op's needs for member and community control over some decisions with the union's need to maintain control over certain workplace processes. They eventually came to an agreement, but not without first endangering the success of the co-op and polarizing the board and community around the issues. In general, however, the connection between labor unions and cooperative development is historic and continues relatively successful in each era. It is successful, but we've seen a little plight there. Start with the union, which is predominantly ran by Caucasian males, clashing with the co-op's need for control and supporting the community. So we do see some of that, but traditionally, historically, we've seen that unions and co-ops kind of work together to serve each other's own needs.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, bro. I'm excited as we get through the rest of this because there's some really, really good examples about solidarity cooperatives. We saw some today, and there's going to be like a lot more. And I think a lot of folks are going to find them close to home. So looking forward
Man,
to it.
no question. And every time we touch on every era of our what I'm saying, becoming more independent from the shackles of slavery. We've seen that, from civil rights to way back when the UNIA, Marcus Garvey, RBG, was celebrating the 100 years of the flag, to, the Black Panther Party. They all had remnants or, ties to the cooperative movement. Like we saw that synonymously. Like the leaders of our ages saw us owning and controlling the means of our own production and distribution key to our liberation, whether that's we talking about political, police brutality, education system, you know what I'm saying, having the rights as a human being. It all is shallow if we cannot feed ourselves, if we cannot clothe ourselves and control the means of production of that. So, yeah, family, this is the last week. Definitely just wanted to, highlight that and the victories that we've seen. We got to highlight the victories so we can know what we can do today, family. So we have the power, we have the resources. It's time. Let's start these businesses and support one another. Can't do anything if we cannot feed, clothe, and house and support ourselves. And we see that in the Black print. We see that all over the Black print.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Yeah, so we're gonna, I mean, the rest of the week is ahead of us. And yeah, bro, anything to say to close us out?
Man, it just man, much love to y'all. This is week 12. Let's get it in. It's been a beautiful journey, about 3 months. Every day, family has been consistently coming, supporting. We just want to make sure that we're able to show the same support. We're gonna have things coming after this, but yeah, this has been great. This has been wonderful. And a lot of things that we learn, we're connected where we're at in the Bay Area in Oakland. We have such a rich history already. This is just adding to that richness. So please grasp it. The ancestors want us to grasp it, lay hold to it, lay claim, and to continue to add. Continue to add in their names. We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. Like my brother talked about, we are a bureaucracy. This is Repair Nations. Through this week and continue this work and get out there and support. Black August is here. Shango is around. Y'all saw the thunder. Let's acknowledge our ancestors and do this work, family, and support one another. So I see you. I see us. I see our ancestors. But anything else you want to add to that?
No, man. I'm just getting to know myself and the work more so I can be more of assistance. And yeah, man, I'm excited to finish up the book and then put some of this stuff into practice.
I say. And shout out, lift up Brother Constant, Brother Greg. The ancestors chose him to bring this message to us, to our people, the cooperative way, the cooperative gospel, and just lay hands on him and lift up our brother and, rejuvenate him for the journey ahead. Let's keep going. We love y'all. Everybody that's been coming, we love